I'm Sarah Stocker.
I'm Mark Danks.
And we are the co-founders of My Robot Nation.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us for CNET Day on the Job. Got a few questions for you. So I've been spending the day here with you, the day of your formal launch. But maybe you could talk about some of the biggest differences between launching a product when you're part of a very big company and launching a product as a startup.
Yeah, Mark and I have been part of very big companies in the video game industry, Sony and Electronic Arts, et cetera, and we learned a lot about what it takes to launch a product within those companies. But launching as a startup is a whole different thing. We can leverage what we learned there, which is really that you've got to have a voice for that product. You've really got to understand what your product is, what offering you're bringing to the public, and how you can communicate that. We also learned how important it is to be able to communicate that loudly, to have a PR and marketing voice, and to have a clear message that is of value in itself. And that's a lot harder when you're a startup and you don't have a whole department or two dedicated to that. But it's more possible than it's ever been because of social media and the way that we all communicate right now.
Great. So one thing that you've done is bootstrap the company entirely by yourselves. Why'd you go that route rather than going with venture capitalists?
Well, in part because we could. It's a lot cheaper right now to start up a company than it's ever been before. There's a lot of technology that helps you to do that, that's freely available to people. And also because we were looking at what we wanted to do, and we realized that the best way to accomplish it was to really focus on the consumer and accomplishing something that's going to be of interest to them. When we wanted to get that out there in a small and perfect form, the way that we have with My Robot Nation. From there, we can scale up, we can get really big, but the best way to do that, we felt, and to really kind of make that a pure play, was to do that in our own way, being able to pivot as quickly as we could, and we were able to do that instead of having to go out with a PowerPoint and an idea and saying, give us a couple $1 million. Now we're looking at a product that is out there working and people are loving it, so it's a different position to be in.
Great. Why did you think that 3D printing was a good direction for a company that's founded by people with so many years in the video game industry?
So 3D printing is sort of this new technology, and previously it's really only been accessible to sort of industrial designers and high-end artists. And so we really like the idea of taking video games, which are very complex 3D interactive worlds that are very accessible, everyone can do them, and how can we translate that? How can we make it so that everyone has access to 3D printing itself? We think it's an awesome, cool technology. Why doesn't everybody able to play with it? So we basically looked at that from sort of that angle of how do we take an interactive experience, something that non-artists, people don't understand 3D geometry and all the complexity that goes with it, and make it very easy, accessible for them to get it. And then when they actually make their robot, they can put all the parts on it, do everything they want, hit buy, and hold that thing in their hand. And that was really, how do we took that many years of experience in video games and sort of translated that into the web and into 3D printing itself.
Got it. Now that you're launching formally, what do you think the biggest obstacles are to success for My Robot Nation?
I think that's about all of the different choices that are ahead of us. We've done what we wanted to do with the launch. We feel like that is getting out there with the message that we wanted to, which is really all about empowering people's creativity with technology that they didn't even know they had access to. There's a number of different ways that we can take that, and right now we're looking at a couple of choices there. Do we focus on increasing the product line? Do we diversify hugely in the product line? Do we take the platform itself and develop it out? And what we really want to do is all of those things. So the obstacles are really the choices we make along the path of each of those things, that we don't over-focus on one that's going to lead to a narrowing of the platform rather than an expansion of it. Because the goal that we have really is that years from now, people are able to use the technology that we're developing to connect themselves with a whole new kind of expression. An expression that right now we're doing digitally with putting out content on the web with YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. We are all content creators in that. We want people to be content creators in the real world too. And we think that our platform gives them a really fun and easy way to do that. So the best ways for us to accomplish that larger goal are developing each of those different paths. And I think the obstacles are how do we do that? Do we not focus too cleanly on one? Do we do it equally amongst them? Do we make those choices wisely?
Got it. So a month ago you did a beta launch. Now you're doing a formal, real launch. What are the biggest differences between, what you did with the beta launch and now with the formal launch?
Sure. When we did the beta launch, that was really to get the kernel of it, the core of My Robot Nation out, and to do two things. One is, it's not just digital, there's actual physical product that we have to ship and get out to people. So we needed to find a way, we needed to test that, make sure that that was really working cleanly. The other thing is we put out a bunch of smaller ideas, like, can you like a robot? The robot nations as well. And we wanted to see how people were going to respond to them, rather than us say, this is the way it must be. See how people were actually going to take advantage of that. Now, over the month, we've been improving our pipelines, making sure all of our shipping works, and also expanding out these features so that now we've seen how people are using them, we've seen what they've asked for, and now we're able to provide that and really bring it all sort of to fruition and have a full launch with that. All that being said, still, we're not done. We're going to have version 2, version 3. We're going to keep on adding features. But right now, we sort of feel like there was a good collection of everything came together. We're much more confident, we're secure in where we actually can go to ship these things out. And this was the moment to do it.
Great. Well, Mark and Sarah, thank you so much for sharing CNET Day on the Job with us.
Thank you.
Or
Thanks
sharing
a
your
lot.
launch with us.
Thanks a lot, Dan. It's been a pleasure.
Great.